He became the world's most beloved wildlife expert by getting dangerously close to the animals he studied. And he died the way he lived. Unforgettable Hollywood Tragedy number 3 is the shocking death of Steve Irwin.
G'day, I'm Steve Irwin. You might know me as the crocodile hunter from Animal Planet.
In 1996, Australian zookeeper Steve Irwin and his wife Terry came up with an idea for a different kind of nature show. Executives at the Discovery Network liked the concept enough to put the program on a brand new network called Animal Planet. And the crocodile hunter was born.
Don't you just love alligators?
After the first few months that we were on air with Animal Planet, the network went from a few 100,000 subscribers to millions.
Steve was more than just a television host because he wasn't an actor. He was just being himself.
Cracked a rib.
With his trademark crikey
Crikey, it's tough out here.
and wild outback antics, Steve Irwin brought a hands-on, roll-up-your-sleeves approach to the typical nature documentary.
Steve was very much an adrenaline junkie. He would push himself to the nth degree. He had no fear. He had absolute highs and lows, but his highs came on danger and excitement. He loved that.
Danger, danger, danger.
Steve was so unique as a wildlife conservationist and as a television presenter because he actually lived what he did. Every single day of his life, he was working to protect the world and its environment.
Fans loved the fact that Steve wasn't afraid to face off with even the crankiest critters.
You can bulgy little eyes. Okay.
The crocodile hunter quickly became an international sensation.
The fact that we were shooting dangerous creatures in a TV show, and the fact that we had a camera 2 feet, 3 feet maximum away from Steve, who was at the front line, the audience actually then were right at the front line with him.
Come with me.
He just had this boundless, dynamic energy on camera. He was electric. And I think that was critical to making the show such a success.
There's no way on earth anyone could come close to his ability with wildlife, his true love for animals, and that sixth sense with wildlife that was so bizarre. He could get in and amongst animals that no one else could.
In addition to hosting The Crocodile Hunter, Steve was also hard at work on a new documentary, Ocean's Deadliest.
Steve Irwin was actually taking a break from filming his own documentary off the Great Barrier Reef.
Steve wasn't very good at sitting around just waiting. So he decided to just go off the crew and film some more stuff on the reef and other animals.
On September 4th, 2006, Steve put on his snorkeling gear and got in the water near Port Douglas, Queensland, to swim with a school of stingrays.
He was in only 10 feet of water. He went up to a stingray, which are considered among the most docile of creatures under the sea, and certainly not the worst that Steve Irwin has ever faced.
As the camera rolled, a large bull stingray directly below Irwin unexpectedly whipped its tail upward. The tail-serrated barb pierced Steve's chest and went directly into his heart.
It found that millimeter between his ribs, right in the right angle to go right into his heart, and then the bar broke off and the stingray kept going.
What happened to him on that day was a pure accident.
Irwin pulled the barb out of his chest and was immediately hauled onto his boat, the Croc 1.
Many times when you have a traumatic injury to any part of your body, the injury from removing the foreign body is actually just as bad as the injury going in.
The frantic crew tried to stem the bleeding, but Steve died before a rescue helicopter could reach the boat.
I basically never thought Steve would ever come to any harm or any grief whatsoever. To me, he was like invincible. So it was the biggest shock that I probably ever had in my life to know that he was mortal.
That was a dark, dark day, not only for us, but I think for the world, because Steve was a true champion. He was a true hero, and he inspired millions.
I miss him so much. And while it's really hard, I think I'm really lucky that I had those 14 years. Because it was fun.
The Crocodile Hunter's legions of fans were heartbroken. The Premier of Queensland, Steve's home in Australia, offered to host a state funeral. Irwin's family members decided against it.
He was a great personality on television, but he just was a mate. He was just an ordinary guy, and it didn't go with having a state funeral.
Although it was a tremendous honor, I did decline the offer, and I still feel it was the right thing to do for Steve.
More than 5,000 people showed up for a memorial at the zoo where Steve worked. Hundreds of thousands around the world watched the proceedings on television as Bindi Irwin eulogized her father.
My daddy was my hero. He was always there for me when I needed him. He listened to me and taught me so many things. I don't want Daddy's passion to ever end. I want to help endangered wildlife just like he did. I have the best daddy in the whole world, and I will miss him every day. Thank you.
I found it so touching and courageous that this little 8-year-old girl got up in front of 5,000 people, not just to say what she wanted to say, but to almost give like a message from her dad.
I'm comforted by the fact that his legacy will live on and on and on, and that he made such a heavy, important mark on the world in terms of conservation and wildlife and bringing attention to animals. Steve actually made people think about them and want to love them.
It seems Bindi picked up where her father left off. She won an Emmy Award for her work as host of her own show, Bindi the Jungle Girl.
The one thing that he really wanted to do in life was to pass the mantle on to Bindi.
I really do like filming because it brings back a lot of memories.
I think in Steve's lifetime, his success could be gauged as hitting the top of Mount Everest. I think Bindi, who's a chip off the old block, is going to reach the moon.
Coming up, how did back-to-back tragedies bring down two Hollywood superheroes?
To do so much good for so many people that they would never know or never meet or never live to see the results.